Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us for another episode again. Today I just wanted to do a short video about hook lengths and shock leader knots. So in terms of hook lengths, I just wanted to show you the process that I go through for tying up my hook lengths to put onto these matrix spools. So firstly, I just load my hook into one of these Matchman hook tires. Now it's important, if the line's going to come off the right side of the spade, the correct side of the spade, to load the hook properly for the way you tie your hook. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, I think it'll be the opposite way around. But for me, I'm right-handed. So I actually hold the hook tire in my left hand with the wheel on my left-hand side, and the point of the hook is facing away from me. Now, when I tie, as you'll see here, when I tie the hooks, following tying them, I should see that the line actually comes off the front of the spade. So it's important that the line doesn't come off the back of the spade, because if the line comes off the back of the spade, you'll find that it pulls away from the hook essentially when you're hooking fish. So if the line comes off the front, you'll find you hit a lot more bites. And if you look at your pre-tied hook lengths, I think you'll find that the line always comes off the front of the spade. So it's just important to make sure that's the way around you tie your hooks. If you're finding that the line's coming off the back, then simply carry on tying how you are, but just change the direction of the hooks facing in your hook tire, and you should find that it comes off the opposite side. For me personally, it should come off the front of the hook, and that's something that I've tested both ways, but I believe that that's the best way to do it. So I tie my hook on, I then run my line up and round the top nail on my board, and then I just use a conventional hook tire, loop tire, as I said, to tie that loop. When I've done that, I just pop them onto these foam spools, and I can get up to maybe 25 hook lengths on each spool. So I'll also show you how I tie my shock leader knots. Right, so to tie this shock leader knot, I've got some 8-pound Daiwa Sensor Z mono, and I've got some 010 matrix submerged braid. So the first thing we're going to do is just pass the two tag ends across each other like that. Now, leave yourself plenty of tag end. If you've not tied this before, it can be quite tricky. Then, holding the braid in the right hand, we're going to pass the mono around the braid about 5 times. Doesn't matter if it's 6 times. Then we're going to take that tag end like so you can see that's twizzled around there. Then we'll take the mono tag end and pass it between the two lines. Just hold that in place with your thumb, and then pass the braid around the mono on the opposite side, the same, also 5 times or thereabouts. Sometimes I give it an extra couple just for a bit of strength. And then we want to take this this braid, and we need to pass it through the same hole that the mono went, but in this time we want to pass it in the opposite direction, just to form that knot. Now, what we want to do then is grab hold of both tag ends and both main lines, and then just wet the knot up, and then pull the main lines tight, and then pull both nice and tight, like so. And then, so what we've got there is essentially a back-to-back grinner knot or back-to-back blood knot 5-turn blood knot. So if you can see that, so you've got the mono on the braid side and the braid on the mono side, and a nice twizzled on both sides. And that knot won't let you down. I'd have all the confidence in the world with that knot. And then what we're going to do then is just, I mean, some people leave these tag ends really long. Personally, I don't like long tag ends, so I'm just going to take the scissors and snip both of those down short. Just tidy that up a bit, and then I've got a nice back-to-back knot. To be honest, this braid I'd probably retie that now, because what I've actually done there is I've used this braid previously already, and that's just a little bit frayed on the end there, so I just need to probably retie that really and just cut an inch off. But hopefully you can see the principle of that knot. It's a tricky knot. It can be a tricky knot to tie the first couple of times you tie it. I mean, it took me, you know, an afternoon of sitting down just practicing that knot to tie it. But I can promise you that once that's tied, I mean, if I just retie that now, just quickly, just to show you. So that's much better than last time. Now I've just cut an inch off that braid, and I'll show you now that the other really important thing, and it's a bit of a lesson really, that is that, you know, you don't always get it right the first time. Maybe you didn't cut enough off the braid, maybe you pulled the knot just slightly too hard. So it is important to just check your knots and make sure that you haven't frayed the main line at all, or frayed the braid, and that your knot's just sitting nice and tight, without any damage on there. I really do inspect my knots quite a lot, because there's a lot resting on that knot really at the end of the day. You know, especially on this rod I'm setting up at the minute. It's a 13'1" XC class, and you know, I'm going to be casting like 40-50 gram feeders. You want to make sure that knot's not going to let you down at all. I mean, I'll give that a good pull on both sides just to make sure. Just tidy it up really nicely. So you should be able to see there now, that's a much nicer knot that time. And now you can see the braid's not damaged at all. So yeah, it's quite a nice knot. It won't let you down, and I think for me it's got to be the neatest knot and the smallest knot that I think I could put on there. So yeah, hopefully this has been a bit of a lesson for some people. Again, you know, it doesn't always go right first time in terms of the presentation and what the knot actually looks like. So it's a bit of a lesson really, just to check what you've done, make sure it's right. And if it's not right, just tie it again. Don't leave anything to chance. You know, if you haven't got confidence in the tackle that you're using and the setup that you've put together, then you're going to struggle. You know, so really, really, really important just to make sure that what you've done's as perfect as it can be, really. So you've got that confidence. Just don't leave anything to chance. Okay, so thanks for watching again. So just a quick one, really, just to show people and answer. I've been asked by a couple of people how I tie my shock leader knots, so hopefully that's shown you. All right, thanks for watching. If you like the channel, click subscribe and share the channel with your friends.